Again, everybody, and welcome to an all-new episode of Road Trip After Hours. I'm your host, MacDavis, along with my WWE Hall of Famer co-host, Mr. Teddy Long. Today, our special guest is Eric Bischoff. Now, I want to explain why you're seeing this selfie video thingamabob I'm doing right now. It's because when we first got on the phone with Eric and Teddy started talking about tacos and margaritas. We hadn't started recording yet, but I pushed the record button anyhow. So we're going to pick it up from there. Margaritas and tacos. Teddy Long, Eric Bischoff, and myself. This is Road Trip After Hours. Enjoy.
Support show of all the Turner shows. Teddy and I got to do it together, and I was still young and learning, and I don't know, Teddy, how long you'd been on camera, but we'd always do them on Friday nights, and it was always towards the end of the day. So probably 9 times out of 10 on Friday nights, Teddy and I would go out and get some margaritas and some happy hour taco chips and Mexican food at Casa Gallarda.
Now, that's the story that he usually tells me about. That he used to go with you to get tacos and cheap margaritas.
Yeah, big margaritas, too. You could take a bath in them.
No, they weren't cheap margaritas. They were like the big monster, they called them back then. And they were like $4, man. Right. But
you only needed about 2 of them, and you were just done. You know what was good about that, Teddy? What was so good about that is when I first moved to Atlanta, when you and I started to work together, Lori and I, my wife, only had 1 car between us. So she would drive me to the CNN Center in the morning and then pick me up at night. So on Friday, she didn't have to drive all the way into downtown because we lived over in Mableton. So she just drive up the road and pick me up at Casa Gallarda, and I didn't have to drive, so I could let loose.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I was going to remind Eric too, man, when we was doing those international markets, man, I don't know whether they were picking on us or what, but I swear to God that we could never get anything right. There was always this, we had to do this over. There were some nights that Eric and myself stayed there till 11:30, almost midnight, trying to record these vignettes, man. I'm telling you, it was unreal.
Eric, yeah. I know that you have answered a ton of questions, covered a lot of topics on the shows and all the podcasts that you do. Let me ask you, is there a topic that you're surprised that no one ever asked you about, that you've always wanted to talk about, that you always thought to yourself, I wish somebody would ask me about this because nobody's ever asked, and there's a great story behind it?
I don't think so.
I'm not surprised, to be honest with you, because as much as you've had.
But oftentimes people, and somebody just asked me this the other day. Somebody made a point of saying, wow, I know you've answered that question a million times, but every time you answer it, it sounds like you've never answered it before. Yeah. And part of that is because, when people ask questions, it's usually in the context of other questions or in a group setting or whatever, very few people will ask me a question sitting in a restaurant or standing at the bar, right? And oftentimes those questions will come from a different perspective. It'll be a part of another story or part of a situation that we've been discussing. So depending on the context, sometimes I feel like I'm answering it the first time, even if I'm not.
Are there stories that the dirt sheets, and I know how much you love Dave Meltzer. That's kind of known knowledge that you're not a big fan. Are there stories that the dirt sheets missed back in the WCW days? Things that you're like, man, I'm glad they didn't get a hold of this.
Oh, yeah. Well, if there was, I'm not going to discuss it now. What the hell? Nice try, Mac. I got your number, brother.
Well, now, of course, the show we have here is Road Trip After Hours. A lot of times people assume that just the wrestlers have these road stories. You travel those roads too. From your perspective, were there any great road stories that you had that you recall?
Not really. I did travel a lot for business, but I didn't travel like wrestlers,
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was on the road 4 nights or 4 days a week and driving from town to town with 3 other guys and all that. I never experienced that. I was fortunate that way because that's a grind that just sucks the life right out of you. I don't know that I could get through it. I don't know if I'm tough enough to get through that for any length of time, at least and come out in one piece. That I'm pretty sure I know. But most of my travel was business, flying from town to town or flying to meetings and flying to TV and back. So I don't really have, and believe it or not, I know the narrative out there is, Eric liked to hang around with the boys. Well, the only time I hung around with the boys was after Nitro, and we'd all go to the hotel bar because the replay started airing about the time we got back to the hotel. So you could kind of sit back and watch the show, and it felt like you were watching it live. So I always hung around with everybody then. But as a rule, when I traveled, especially, I prefer to be by myself.
Yeah. Well, I think we all do. Even Teddy and I, when we travel, it's we prefer to have separate rooms, and we don't want to. You want to be by yourself. You just reach a certain age, you're like, the hell with that. So let me ask you also, in today's current wrestling product, thoughts on CM Punk and Seth Rollins, their promo from Monday Night Raw just this past week. Did you get a chance to see that?
I didn't see it live. I've since seen clips and well aware of it for sure.
But let me ask you, do you see, because this is how I took it when I saw it happening in the ring, I felt like WWE has taken what AEW should have done with the situation they had in front of them many months and years ago now with CM Punk, and now they're putting it on WWE TV for everyone to see because the heat is real in a lot of ways, and they're bringing it to TV that AEW should have done. Do you agree with that? Do you see that correlation at all?
Yeah, I haven't been watching it. I'm well aware, I guess, pretty aware of what they're doing with Punk. Haven't really set him in a direction, although we're leading into Seth Rollins. That seems to be, fairly apparent to everybody. That's cool. But there's more going on with him right now than meets the eye. There's something behind the way he's delivering his promos. This is just me. I'm not talking to anybody. But he's almost coming across too well. He's coming across like the guy that got thrown out of the frat. He was on probation, and now he's coming back, and he's just working extra hard to make sure everybody thinks he's a good guy. And I fucking love it. I love that.
There's a story there, Eric.
Because if he gets everybody kind of convinced and he really establishes himself, and I'm a team player and I'm just happy to be home and this is my home, and yeah, freaking right. Come on now. I see something nefarious happening sometime in the near future.
I know that
I don't know what here's what I will say. That's the only thing I know about what WWE is currently doing.
Yeah.
As far as AEW goes, they kind of shit the bed from the get-go. I don't think there was really a good plan in place. I don't think there was a story in place, an arc in place. I don't feel like it was anything other than, whoa, he's here and he's going to work with the young guys and he's going to do this and he's here. But I never really got the vibe. And to be fair, I don't watch that show. I can't sit down and watch an hour or two of it. I just can't. I'd rather chew off my leg. Yeah. But I just don't think there was a plan for him. And I think that probably frustrated him. It probably frustrated a lot of other people. He was making big bank there, probably more than anybody else. And it just wasn't working. And, Teddy, once things are not working and everybody's getting frustrated and fading the heat, and it goes downhill fast.
Now, there's a possibility they could lose MJF because there are rumors that he's still a free agent, although I thought I had also heard that he had signed a contract a while back. But if he hasn't, can Tony Khan afford to lose MJF? Because most of his key players have all gone to WWE and being used in the right way. I would imagine sooner or later, because you had to go through this a little bit in WCW with WWE. How much of a problem is that going to become?
Well, yeah, look, MJF, I've been saying this since, I don't know, for 3 years. I think the world of his work. He's young. I wish I wouldn't be seeing quite as much of the real MJF, so much of it in social media, because I kind of like that dastardly heel guy.
Yeah,
I want to believe in that guy. And when I keep hearing about all the great things he's doing and who he really is, and I believe them all to be true. I've met him and talked to him, and I have a world of respect for him. But I wish I wouldn't be seeing quite as much of that. But I think to lose a guy like MJF right now, could he afford it? Sure, Tony can afford anything. He's not financially responsible to anybody but himself. He's spending his inheritance.
Yeah,
it's just up to him how much he wants to spend. So he could survive it financially, but I think way beyond the financial aspect of it, I think the audience would be so demoralized, they would lose faith, and so much so that I think Tony would. Chances are he'd lose him, and I don't think he'd get the audience back. I just don't think he would, because he's burned up his goodwill.
I was surprised by the audience response when CM Punk kind of acknowledged AEW in a roundabout way during the promo, and it fell on deaf ears. Hardly anybody in that audience gave a flip about what he was talking about, didn't even know what he was just talking about. And that's a perception issue with the audience and the fans. And that, like you say, I think that will get worse. Teddy, I'm sorry, I've been going on. Anything you need to hop in here with?
No, that's okay, man. We're talking good stuff here. I'm kind of like Eric. I don't watch AEW. I mean, I tried to look at a couple of things, and then, it just turned me away. So I'm just saying, like I said in the past, and I'll still say this, there's no leadership there. And until they get some leadership there, then I think things may get worse or they may get better. Who knows? And like I said, we're just wasting a lot of air talking about them. So what I'm going to talk about is the good thing that Eric Bischoff did for me back when I first got started, after refereeing, started managing. Eric was there, gave me my first break. I had a chance to manage Ice Train. Eric was responsible for that. Yeah. And I just want to thank him, because right now I'm glad I'm alive and able to thank the people that, gave me help back in the day. And Eric Bischoff was one of those people. So, Eric, thank you very much.
Well, Teddy, thank you for saying that, man. It makes me feel good. It really does. But, you had the talent, and we were friends, and I loved working with you, and I knew your work ethic, and, I didn't really give you anything. That's all you, brother. And I'm just glad we got a chance to work together. And you're one of those people, I tell this to people all the time. It's like, I have this thing where on Thanksgiving and Christmas, I want to wish Teddy happy Thanksgiving or Merry Christmas before he gets to me. Right.
And I think you got me last year. I believe you got me too.
I set my alarm. I said, I'm going to get him before he wakes up, family and go through so I thought I'm just going to set my alarm for like 5:30 in the morning. That way I'll get him.
Yeah, that got me.
All right. Before we let you go, I got to know an update on the hair. Am I not wrong that you had a bet with Conrad about your hair and CM Punk going to WWE?
Well, I've had two of them. I've had two bets. I had one, I don't know where, it was last June or something. We made the bet probably in March or April, and I lost. It was a CM Punk bet. I don't know what it is. And I'm usually right. Like all the predictions I make about AEW, I'm right 83.78% as of right now. I am on the freaking money. It's like I have a crystal ball and I can look at it and I can make wrestling predictions, and I'm right 83.7% of the time. But on this particular case, now 2 in a row involving CM Punk, I lost the first bet, and at a Top Guy event, that we have for our ad-free shows fans, I got my head shaved in the middle of the ring by a fan. One guy donated $10,000 to shave my head. Yeah, because the proceeds went to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, the St. Jude's Children's Hospital actually saved this fan's life. And he told the story, and he's gone on to do very well for himself. So that's why he donated the 10 grand. But then recently, CM Punk leaves, he gets fired, whatever, leaves AEW. Everybody's going, oh, is he going to go to WWE? And I'm saying, I don't think so. Could, it's WWE. Yep. Hell, they brought me in. What the fuck? But I didn't think they would. And I said, if they do bring him in, I don't think they'll bring him into Royal Rumble, because that would be an awesome way to bring him in, right?
Yep.
Complete surprise. Oh. But so I was convinced. So Conrad said, no, I bet you he comes in before the end of the year. I said, all right, I'll take that bet. He goes, bet your hair. I said, man, we just did that. I got my head shaved. Everybody knows what that looks like. He said, no, this time we're going to do it Road Warrior Hawk style.
Oh, no. Oh,
so I'm going to get a Road Warrior Hawk head shave with this white hair I have, which is going to look really freaky as hell. I can't wait to get on the airplane.
Well, do you know when that's going to take place?
End of January, Royal Rumble weekend.
All right. And tell us again where everybody can find you when social media is concerned.
Yeah, I'm at Twitter or X. I call it Twix. Just so you
I like that, actually. I like that.
Take it, please. Okay. Hashtag Twix. Yeah, at eBischoff. I think I'm on Instagram at the real Eric Bischoff, and I'm on Facebook. So there you go.
All righty. I've enjoyed it, Eric, and I appreciate you taking the time. I know I reached out to a mutual friend of ours, and when he reached to you, you immediately must have said yes, because he sent me a message back within like 5 minutes. So I certainly appreciate you coming on the show. Teddy and I are working hard trying to build subscribers and viewers, and people like you who give us the time certainly make a difference. So thank you so much.
Well, yeah, you hit me when you promote this thing or whatever, and I'll retweet it. And you guys got my number now. You don't have to go through anybody. If you want to do something, anytime you want to do it, just give me a shout.
We'll do it.
All right.
Thank you so much, Eric, and happy holidays, brother.
All right. Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas.
Hey,
Merry
say
Christmas.
hello to the family, man, because, I knew those. They're grown now, but, I knew them when they were little bitty babies, man.
I will, Teddy. I will indeed.
Have a good one.
Man.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
la 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 la